The aftermath of war, rebuilding Greece post-conflict. The end of the Peloponnesian War marked a turning point in Greek history, leaving Greece devastated, divided, and vulnerable. The nearly 30-year conflict between Athens and Sparta, along with their respective allies, had reshaped the Greek world. Cities lay in ruin, economies were depleted, and society was deeply fractured. In the aftermath of such widespread destruction, the Greeks faced the monumental task of rebuilding not only their cities, but also the sense of unity and purpose that had once defined them. The post-war period was a time of both challenge and transformation, as Greece struggled to recover and adapt to a new political and cultural landscape. Part 1. Political restructuring and the loss of Athenian power. One of the most significant changes in post-war Greece was the collapse of the Athenian Empire. With the war's conclusion in 404 BCE, Athens was stripped of its empire, its navy, and its influence. As part of the peace settlement, Athens was forced to dismantle its long walls, the defensive structures that had protected the city and symbolized its strength. The loss of these walls and the imposition of the 30 tyrants, a pro-Spartan oligarchy, marked a dramatic shift from Athens' democratic traditions and imperial aspirations. The 30 tyrants ruled Athens with an iron fist, executing and exiling those who opposed them. The reign of the 30 was short-lived, however, as an uprising in 403 BCE led by Thrasybulus restored democracy. This reinstatement of democratic governance marked the beginning of a difficult period of rebuilding for Athens, as it sought to recover both its political autonomy and its cultural identity. Sparta, meanwhile, emerged as the dominant power in Greece, but it quickly found that maintaining control over former Athenian territories and allies was a difficult task. The strict, militaristic society of Sparta was ill-suited to managing an empire, and its harsh treatment of former Athenian allies led to growing discontent. In the following years, Sparta's hold over Greece would be increasingly challenged by uprisings and rival city-states, revealing the limitations of military power as a tool for governance. Part 2. Economic recovery and the strain on resources. The war had taken a significant toll on the Greek economy. Trade routes had been disrupted, farmland lay fallow, and the population had been diminished by years of conflict and plague. Athens, once a bustling trade hub, struggled to rebuild its economy without the wealth and resources that had previously flowed in from its empire. The city faced a shortage of food and goods, leading to rationing and scarcity. To rebuild, Athens and other cities turned to agriculture and local trade, attempting to revive their economies with limited resources. In Athens, efforts were made to repair and replant farmland, while markets and workshops slowly reopened, providing much-needed employment. City-states also looked to re-establish trade routes with foreign powers, including Persia and cities in the western Mediterranean, to restore some of the economic flow that had been lost during the war. Despite these efforts, the economic recovery was slow, and many cities were unable to regain the prosperity they had enjoyed before the war. The lack of resources also created divisions within Greek society, as citizens struggled to make ends meet and faced the prospect of higher taxes. The strain of rebuilding contributed to social tension, as the wealthy sought to protect their interests, while the poorer citizens demanded fair treatment and assistance. Part 3. Social challenges and shifts in class dynamics. The war and its aftermath had reshaped Greek society, creating new social challenges and shifts in class dynamics. Many families had lost loved ones, leaving widows and orphans to fend for themselves. Veterans returned from war scarred and often without the support they needed to reintegrate into civilian life. These social issues strained the traditional family structures and community networks that had been a cornerstone of Greek life. One significant shift was the growing prominence of the metics, resident foreigners, in cities like Athens. With a shortage of skilled labor, metics became increasingly valuable as craftsmen, merchants, and workers, contributing to the economy's recovery. However, their rising importance created tension between native citizens and foreigners, leading to debates over citizenship, rights, and the role of non-citizens in the rebuilding process. Women, too, found their roles evolving in the aftermath of the war. With so many men lost to battle, women in some Greek city-states, particularly Athens, assumed greater responsibility within their households and communities. Though they remained largely excluded from public life, the contributions of women to the family economy and the management of estates became more visible. In Sparta, where women already held a unique position due to the city's militaristic society, their roles expanded further as they managed family lands and estates in the absence of men. Part 4. Intellectual and Cultural Revival. Despite the hardship, the post-war period was marked by a cultural and intellectual revival as Greeks reflected on the meaning and consequences of the conflict. The trauma of the Peloponnesian War inspired a new wave of philosophical inquiry, drama, and literature that sought to make sense of human nature, ethics, and the pursuit of power. The philosopher Socrates continued his dialogues with Athenians, questioning the motivations behind the war and encouraging self-examination and moral introspection. The tragedies of Euripides and Sophocles echoed the anguish and despair of a society grappling with loss and disillusionment. Plays like Euripides' The Trojan Women highlighted the suffering of war's victims, particularly women and children, while Sophocles' Antigone explored themes of loyalty, justice, and the consequences of pride. These works became a way for Greeks to process the devastation of war and to confront the ethical and moral questions raised by the conflict. Historians like Thucydides documented the Peloponnesian War with a critical eye, offering insights into the dangers of imperial ambition and the destructive nature of war. His historical account, History of the Peloponnesian War, served not only as a record of events but also as a warning to future generations. Thucydides' emphasis on human motivations, power dynamics, and the cycles of history shaped the field of historiography and influenced future thinkers. Part 5. Religious and Spiritual Reassessment. The war and its consequences led many Greeks to question their spiritual beliefs and practices. The devastation wrought by the war, combined with natural disasters and plagues, led some to doubt the favor and protection of the gods. Traditional beliefs were challenged, and new religious practices began to emerge. Mystery cults, which offered secret rituals and promises of an afterlife, gained popularity as people sought personal salvation and solace. These cults, which included the Eleusinian mysteries dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, attracted followers who were disillusioned with the mainstream pantheon or who sought a deeper spiritual connection. Oracles, particularly the Oracle of Delphi, continued to play a role in guiding decisions, but many Greeks now approached the gods with a mixture of reverence and skepticism. The shifting spiritual landscape reflected a society grappling with uncertainty, looking for ways to cope with the trauma of war and the fragility of human life. This religious evolution laid the groundwork for new philosophical and ethical systems that would emerge in the following centuries, influencing the development of later Hellenistic and Roman beliefs. Part 6. Political Realignments and the Rise of Macedon. The weakened state of the Greek city-states after the Peloponnesian War created an environment ripe for change. As Athens and Sparta struggled to maintain control over their territories and recover from the war, a new power began to rise in the north, Macedon. Under Philip II, Macedon gradually expanded its influence over Greece, capitalizing on the divisions and vulnerabilities left by the Peloponnesian War. Philip's success in uniting the Greek city-states through a combination of diplomacy, military strength, and strategic marriages marked a significant shift in Greek politics. For the first time, Greece found itself united under a single ruler, paving the way for the expansion of the Macedonian Empire under Philip's son, Alexander the Great. The rise of Macedon marked the end of the era of independent city-states and the beginning of a new chapter in Greek history, in which the Greeks would play a central role in the vast conquests of Alexander and the spread of Hellenistic culture. Conclusion. A new Greece emerges. The aftermath of the Peloponnesian War was a period of hardship and transformation for ancient Greece. The war had left the Greek world fragmented and vulnerable, yet it also inspired resilience and adaptation. As the city-states rebuilt, they were forced to reconsider their values, alliances, and aspirations. This period of rebuilding laid the foundation for future developments, as Greece shifted from a collection of warring city-states to a united force under Macedon. The experiences of war and recovery left a lasting legacy on Greek society, shaping its cultural, intellectual, and political identity. The tragedies and philosophies born from this time continued to influence Greek thought, while the lessons of empire, power, and resilience were etched into the fabric of Greek history. The Greek world,